Hello and welcome to the StoryMode podcast. I think I should be unmuted everywhere now, and
Yeah.
that was actually, I think, smoother than last time. I selected the right window first, and then the wrong window second. So I hesitated after selecting the correct window, and then jumped. Anyways, whatever. Welcome to the Story Mode podcast. This is a podcast where we sit down and once a month we play through a game and then we sit down and spoil the story for everybody. It's great fun, and in short, it's just an excuse for us to talk about video games and an excuse for some of us to play video games. So, I'm joined with my guest host, LRFLEW, aka Lewis. I don't try and say his name because that would be silly, and he's going to introduce our other host here. How you doing today,
All right.
Lewis?
So I'm doing good. So I'm Lewis. I stream occasionally and stuff, but yeah, I'm also the one of the three hosts on the show. The third one is missing because reasons.
He's working.
And
Valid
yeah.
reasons.
and so I'd like to introduce our special guest for today, who happens to be my own mother. So let's say hello to Foxtex. Hey Foxtex, how you doing?
Hey, doing great. Thank y'all for inviting me. I'm Foxtex, also referred to sometimes as Lewis's mom. And I got invited because I've actually played this game we're talking about today, Little Inferno, all the way through. And I think that may be the only game I've ever played all the way through.
So Little Inferno is a very interesting little game. They present you with this fireplace and they're like, okay, burn everything. There's no real instruction as to why you're burning everything. And it's like, okay, so I have my toys and my mouse becomes fire or your finger, depending on whether you're playing on the iPad or not. It's definitely designed with what seems like mobile in mind, but it also works really well on the computer. Apparently it's on the Wii U, and now I'm wishing I bought it on the Wii U because that would have been fun playing it on the big screen. But it's a very zen game with a surprisingly large amount of depth and a very surprising ending. So initially when you start out, you're just burning things in your fireplace, and then over time you start getting these little letters, and you can either just burn the letters and forget about it all, or you can read the letters, and it actually unlocks some really interesting story into kind of this dystopian, I want to say post-apocalyptic, I might be wrong, world.
I wouldn't so much say I wouldn't
climate
say
change.
post-apocalyptic, but
Are you sure? like
It could be climate change.
pretty
yeah.
pretty drastic climate change.
Right, like another
Yeah.
ice age or something, at least for where the story is set.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. Also, I'm pretty sure the letters aren't optional. I think you have to read them before you can burn them.
Really, I tried to burn one once. I think I burnt one of the messages from the dude in the weather balloon.
Weatherman?
Yeah, I think I did.
Huh.
But yeah, no, it's a very strange little game. It can be powered through in about an hour and a half if you really gun it.
Yeah.
I think I beat it. My total running time is about 2 hours. I might go back and try and get the rest of the combos. But it's very strange because there's this very looming kind of strange corporation called the Tomorrow Corperation, which made the fireplace, and they have it set up as, if you just watch the trailer, like almost an entertainment device.
Yeah, it's it's worth mentioning that Little Inferno kind of breaks the fourth wall in an interesting way. So in the game Little Inferno that you play, there's the Little Inferno Entertainment Fireplace, which is the fireplace which is made by Tomorrow Corporation, which is in the game Little Inferno that is made by Tomorrow Corporation. And so they oftentimes blend the idea of the Little Inferno made by Tomorrow Corporation inside the game and the Little Inferno made by Tomorrow Corporation that is the game.
Yes.
And there's a lot of kind of meta narrative with that.
It's another interesting look at just game design in general when you think about stuff like that, because there's other games where it's like, well, am I playing a character who's in a game, or am I the character in the game? It's an interesting way of thinking about things. So
Yeah.
I don't know, from a mom perspective, I was just thinking about this last night. You have the character you and Sugar Plums, who are both young, very young people, and almost very childlike when you finally see them. And so this horrific idea that these kids are alone and burning things in a fireplace that doesn't even have a grate. Something that you never encourage your children to do, which is to burn things up because it's so much fun and dangerous at the same time. And the dangers that these two kids end up facing due to the fireplace, again, bring this kind of less happy aspect to the whole story narrative, if you think of it from that way.
I think we should go through a real quick story summary of the game real quick, because we're kind of jumping into this. So you start out and all you see is the fireplace, but you end up getting a letter fairly shortly in from a Miss Nancy. And so Miss Nancy is from the Tomorrow Corporation, kind of introduces you to the game, saying all that stuff like, please enjoy your high-definition fireplace. And you also meet a weatherman who basically tells you it's really cold outside, so burn stuff to stay warm. And then the third character you meet is a Sugar Plums, who nails you and basically says hi. And you kind of build up a relationship over letters that she sends you. You never send her anything.
You send her items.
Yeah, you send her items.
Well, you do. You send her items, but no letters. And you kind of build up this sort of relationship. You're sending her stuff. And she ends up actually sending you quite a few things. Because at one point you get these curtains that fall down in your fireplace. That was from her. And things kind of go along normally like that until about the midpoint, where she starts getting really existential on you. See, I probably have a quote from that somewhere. But anyways, and starts saying these kind of really weird things. And then she starts sending you letters. And it's always a little photo of the person who's sending you letters. And she's on fire. She is burning down with her house.
And you definitely know that her house is burning down because, like, the walls shake and there's smoke kind of floating by and whatnot.
They established that Sugar Plums is your next door neighbor, and so as her house is burning down, they have this just huge sequence. Everything is shaking. Your fireproof curtains that Sugar Plums gives you actually start to burn.
And halfway burn up, yes.
Yeah.
They burn up completely later, but...
That's true.
Everything's gone later.
Yeah, and so they do some more establishing stuff. Miss Nancy mails you, talks about what had happened. The weatherman actually mails you, mentioning that there's the huge explosion as well.
I also have to mention that in Miss Nancy's letter, she reminds you that your fire should stay in your fireplace and not come out because that is dangerous.
Yeah,
like she references some
and copyright infringement.
Yeah,
yes. And the warranty is void.
This game has a really weird sense of humor. Very dark, kind of almost Tim Burton-esque sense of humor. Like, I think this guy and Tim Burton should talk. They'd get along.
Yeah.
Probably why I like the game.
Yeah. Like, it has, like... Man, that very kind of almost like sketch-drawn art style, and it's very cartoony, but there are points in this game where things that you're burning become mildly disturbing. Too. Like, it kind of messed with me a little bit. Like, why did I just set a bus full of people on fire?
Children on fire. It's a school bus.
Yeah! Like,
and then you had the rocket of learning where they scream as you burn them.
It's... Even the spider, like, it's like, why? What? And then some of the combos that you're, like, told to burn up are like, no, I'm literally burning an elderly couple. Sure, they're dolls, but I just burnt an elderly couple. What is this game? It's just... The image that this game paints and the atmosphere that this game throws at you is surprisingly dense, considering how simple the game is. Like, I can't stress this enough. When I said that this game feels like it's designed for a mobile device, it's literally just like a flat table with items that you purchase with in-game money that sit there on a little cooldown timer. And then you select them, you drag them onto the fireplace, and you burn them. Like, it's almost an idle game at times, because there's times when, like, you can literally tab out and just wait for a minute for something to respawn. It's deliberately slow.
Yeah.
And it's...
torturing. You're
Yeah.
torturing people and items and soft, furry little animals with ugly teeth that look scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think
And
that
unlike real life, when you buy and burn things, you end up with more money, which
Yes.
would be an ideal job.
Yeah.
You know, that'd be really cool. Go
Yeah.
buy things, burn them up, and end up with more money.
I think that's called a demolition, man. But no, it's like the atmosphere is incredibly dense, which I think is just shows like this game is incredibly well thought out, and I
Yeah.
can't stress this enough. Like the whole Tomorrow Corporation aspect to it is really weird too, because you're sitting and for the okay, it took me 2 hours to beat the game, right? First hour and 45 minutes is just me staring at a fireplace, and then the whole game changes, and I think we need to talk about that.
The
Okay.
end is wild because the
Yeah.
conversations you have with the postman, that receptionist,
I
and Miss Nancy is
Yeah.
way out there.
I want to go ahead. I'll go ahead and continue the synopsis. So I ended
Yeah.
where Sugar Plump's house burns down. Well, about it depends on how quickly you're playing. Kind of 30, 45 minutes later, you get a letter from the mysterious person. It's not really obvious. All you see in the photo is eyes.
And looks kind of burned out, like black or ashy initially.
Yeah, and so she ends up asking for sunglasses. So you give her. I should mention that before you burn her house down, you send 3 items to Sugar Plums. But yeah, you send her sunglasses, and then she reveals, "Yeah, I'm actually Sugar Plums. Yeah, my house burnt down, and now I'm gonna make your house burn down."
Well, not directly. She starts telling
yeah.
you to burn your house down.
Yeah,
And how to
it's
do
very,
it.
Yeah.
It's kind of ominous in that sense. But she eventually kind of gives you the hint that, like, you sent me 4 items. Burn those 4 items together. Which actually, there's a face at the very back of the fireplace. And those 4 items are the only 4 items that actually cause that face to react.
Oh, I love putting the sunglasses on the face in the back
Yeah.
of the fireplace and burning them there. That's one of my favorite things to do.
Yeah. You can put the sunglasses on the face. The magnet, I think, makes the gears go faster. I
Oh, really?
think the mouth opens with the fireflies or something like that. And I forget what the bug exterminator does exactly, but they all interact with the face slightly.
Oh, interesting. I
and
didn't
so when you
notice
burn-
any of that.
Yeah. And so when you burn all the items together, you get the error combo, which causes the entire thing to start crashing down. And then the eyes on that thing in the back of the fireplace start to open.
Yeah, I
Your
was
house
just
starts to
waiting
burn
for
down.
it. I spent the entire game just staring at that thing, going, "Okay, when are you gonna smile?"
I know. I mean,
Yeah.
I have to wonder what that thing in the back of the fireplace was and what it represented because it's like the great and wonderful Wizard of Oz or something because he's so scary looking.
Just
Yeah.
waiting for it to blink.
Yeah.
It's like, are you watching me? I
Yeah.
think, I think that's what made the game feel so dystopian for me, was just that face staring at me, and then the discussion about the snow falling. So I think I need to bring this up now because this is just like a theme that this game had constantly was snow's falling. There's always snow falling. It's getting colder. It's getting colder. Constantly coming to you from the weatherman, and he's always referencing how many chimneys there are, and it almost makes me feel like maybe the fireplaces are like their cure for global warming. Like, so it's like, or climate change rather. So it's like they've had another ice age more or less, and they're like, okay, well, let's give all the children things to burn.
I mean, they say that kind of explicitly at one point. They basically, okay, real quick, toward very early in the game, they give you a trailer for Little Inferno inside the game.
Yeah, which is what I played at the beginning.
Yeah. I don't know if it's exactly the same one, but there is a moment in there where it's basically like, you know, the kid's like, why should I burn all this stuff? And the narrator voice is like, well, you see, up above that chimney, it's getting really, really cold. So burn all your stuff to stay warm.
Yeah.
And then their faces start to melt down in the trailer, but...
Yeah, their heads pop.
Yeah. But anyways, end of the game. So you burn your house down, and then you get kind of this zoomed out look. It's the first time you see something other than just the fireplace. And you see the house explode and burn down. And you see yourself laying in front of the house. And now, all of a sudden, it's sort of a side-scroller.
Well, I'm more of a point and click.
Yeah, point and click kind of side scroller adventure something or other.
Yeah, it's a point and click adventure because you can kind of interact with the environment. You can talk with people, so I don't
Very
know.
limited,
yeah.
but
Yeah, very simple point and click.
Yeah. And you end up going to the Tomorrow Corporation. And
Well,
along the
before-
way,
can I just interrupt a second? Before
Yeah,
you
go
get
ahead.
there, you run into the postman, who eventually makes a statement about how he has been going to your place all this time and leaving all these packages right behind you, and you have never acknowledged him. And that's just really creepy.
yeah, on your way over to the Tomorrow Corporation, you see the mailman, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I've delivered, however many letters or packages he delivered to you. It's like on the order of 300 for me. It was a lot."
I was at like 4 something, and I looked at that. I'm like, did the game actually count?
Yes.
Yes,
How
because
many?
the number is different every time you play it. Like if you
Okay.
don't do all the combos, the number will change.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so it really kind of addresses like how much time you've wasted with the game.
Here's
and-
your
and-
score.
Yeah. it really just because you address basically everything. You talk to the mailman and you talk about how that worked. You get another letter from Sugar Plums, who's kind of grown up actually a lot, and kind of says, "Oh yeah, I'm just at the beach,
Come join me.
hanging out."
Yeah.
Yeah. You go to the Tomorrow Corporation and you meet the gate operator, and
More creepiness.
yeah,
I like the gate operator. His
Yeah.
hands.
Yeah, just say it with enthusiasm, though.
yeah. I will actually admit, because Little Inferno was one of the games that got on the first ever Humble Bundle I bought, and it came with a whole bunch of soundtracks, including the Little Inferno soundtrack. And the song that plays with the gate operator, which the song name, by the way, is Gate Operator Open That Gate, that was really a song where I kind of listened to it, and I was like, yeah, this is actually rather interesting, and it started me on a long collection of video game music, which has now reached, I think, 4,000 songs.
Boy.
Yeah.
Yes, because I have downloaded a lot to my music library, too.
I need to get
Little-
that Doom soundtrack.
Yeah. Anyway, so you get past the gate operator, you meet the secretary, who talks in... How would you
She's-
describe that?
She's like just this mail filing person of no substance in this receptionist
She's a computer.
job, who's trying to write her great American novel or great
Yeah.
Little Inferno novel.
Yeah. It's interesting because they actually do a lot to kind of expand all the characters in the universe. So the gate operator you meet, if you do the right dialogue tree, he'll say, yeah, you may have recognized my work in the bus. So you mentioned the bus with the Screaming Cool Kids. It's his arms that's driving the bus, and they actually directly address that. And the secretary as well is like, oh yeah, I'm writing a new book as a sequel to my previous book, which happens to be a book that you burn in the game.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like the terrible mystery or something.
Yeah, the terrible secret or something like that.
Okay.
Looks like we lost Blind there.
And she's completely unhelpful. You can't
She's
go up
like-
the elevator.
Right over my head. I missed all of that, so...
Anyways, so you end up actually going up the elevator after kind of actually tricking the secretary, because it's like, yeah, the elevator's only for employees. Oh, okay, I need to use the restroom. Oh yeah, just take the elevator up.
Yeah. Well, that secretary reminded me of trying to talk with that chat bot that makes you think it's a person. What's the name of it?
All of them.
Well, but I can't remember. There was one that like exploded for a little while there, and everybody was like trying to make it loop. And eventually people figured it out, but it was like Nicebot or something. I can't remember. Anyways, it was a couple years ago. Kind of blew my mind back in the day, but that's what that felt like. And it's just it ends up being infinitely frustrating.
Oh,
Yeah.
she was like trying to talk to somebody online or on the phone for help.
Yeah.
You know,
In
with a
fact, they
technical
directly
problem?
addressed that.
She's
They
talking to
directly
multiple
addressed
people.
that.
Yes.
Yeah. They addressed that kind of directly because at one point, one of your dialogue options is 0, 0, I want the operator.
Which gives you back to her.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's that one.
Yeah.
All right.
But then you end up going up the elevator. You go past a hallway, which, by the way, there's actually diagrams for some of the toys that you burn as well. So
Yeah, I saw that.
more of that. And then you meet Miss Nancy. And Miss Nancy is actually a rather interesting one in this case. She's definitely the most sensible person to talk to. Let's see. I think I wrote down some quotes from her on this one. But, you just start talking to her, and she's kind of this... I'd want to say that she's supposed to be this sort of motherly figure. Do you agree with that?
I didn't quite hear it.
That Miss Nancy kind of seems to be a sort of motherly figure in the game.
She's trying to be like everybody's aunt.
Yeah, or something like that.
Or maybe like Glenda the Good Witch, who, if you were Dorothy and you meet Glenda at the beginning of your, quote, horrible adventure, and you get to the end and Glenda says, well, all you need to do is click the heels of those shoes. I'm like, couldn't you have told me that before?
To me,
it is interesting.
She seemed very kind of conniving. I don't know why. She seemed evil to me. I didn't trust her. Like, she was, like you say, sensible, but she seemed way too happy about everything. And just the dark nature of the game. When you have, like, an atmosphere that's incredibly dark and a world that's very dark, and then suddenly something that's just uber happy, it stands out like a sore thumb, and it's weird.
I guess. I don't know. I didn't really think of it as being that weird.
Well, but then she goes and abandons you. So, okay, it's just whole non-mom figure.
I guess. It's interesting. There actually is something where she and actually a couple other people kind of give this sort of hints, like, towards the beginning of the game, they're talking about, like, your Little Inferno fireplace, but be careful, fire is dangerous, but it's not the most dangerous thing. And then they don't really say what it is. I think it's supposed to be kind of hinted that it's like, when you leave, that you're supposed to do that's kind of what they're hinting at, that you have to stop playing at some point.
Yeah, and leave and face the outside world.
Yeah.
Which is scary.
Yeah.
The biggest danger is you. That you might keep playing.
Yeah. And in fact, there's a quote that I wrote down that she has, which is like her big quote. What should you do when you've got everything you've ever dreamed? Dream bigger.
That's probably the most profound thing she says.
Yeah.
Well, she's more or less got this enterprise. Well, because she's the CEO of the Tomorrow Corperation, right?
Yeah.
So she has this humongous enterprise. So you're literally sitting there talking to Elon Musk.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's really weird, and I've been trying to figure out, like, I played this last week, right? I finished it last Sunday. And I've just been sitting here, and I've, like, been looking at this game and going, okay, what exactly is this game trying to say? Because it has a message, and it's like, is it talking about video games in general, and that you shouldn't be playing them because they're dangerous? Because that was, like, kind of the only thing that came out of it for me, and that seemed kind of odd. And I felt like I might have been going in the wrong direction with it.
Well, except you're burning up old people and children and stuff, so that is a bit dangerous.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's such a strange game, and this is why last week I didn't want to do an episode with just me and Lewis, because that's how it was going to end up. Because I don't know what to say about this game, really. It's weird, and I think that a lot of people should play it, and more people should play it. And a lot of people have already played it because it's sold very well. But it's a very strange little thing with a lot of interesting themes.
There's a lot of different reads. Like you mentioned, kind of the read of the dangers of games, particularly that kind of free-to-play model of games, where, you have to... where they ask you to sink time into it instead of money, sort of thing.
Well, and again, the narrative of the game within the game, because some of the things you burn are items from other video games, the World of Goo, the duck hunt. You have that monitor that you burn that and the ducks fly out. And at some point you burn the duck tree that's digitalized. And so it's also got its own theme of the game within the game.
Yeah. And that actually does bring me up to another read I'd heard, which was that, one thing that's interesting to note is all the different catalogs show a progression in time. It's like you start out with very old-timey stuff, so you're burning pictures, and then you start burning kind of toys, and then you start getting to some electronics, and then you get to, some other kind of fancy stuff, and eventually you're burning the cloud and email, and then futuristic stuff. And there's definitely this progression that happens throughout the catalogs.
And that would kind of, I think that would support the post-apocalyptic idea, the whole program or story narrative of this video game too.
Are you saying that they might be like trying to push a narrative using the objects? Because that's something I hadn't even thought of.
There's a bit of that there too as well. Yeah, basically everything in that game kind of comes together to create a single whole, but there's a lot of different ways you can look at it.
Well, and there's some bizarre, like almost medicinal medical things, like that He-Man powder that when you burn it, the syringes pop out of it.
Yeah.
And the nail polish, I forget what happens, but again, some bizarre stuff will pop out when you burn these things. That it's kind of.
I just like burning the corn repeatedly.
Yeah.
It was just so satisfying. It made a nice sound.
Yeah.
I wish there was like a can of like soda or something that would make it. But no.
Well, there are soda cans in the game that you can burn.
It didn't make a satisfying enough sound.
Okay.
Oh, I like the sound you make when you burn the helicopter spiders. They make a nice little pop.
I kept accidentally cracking the eggs before I burnt them.
Yeah.
So I just like fling items around.
You have to be careful.
But it's also worth mentioning. It's also worth mentioning that a lot of the items have silly names. Like there's very clearly wine at one point, and they call it like midlife crisis. And there's a pill bottle, and I forget what that one was called, but it was pretty silly as well. It was like I forget.
Mm.
Yeah, there are just so many details and all the little objects. It's hard. You need to know those names to help build the combos too during the game, because it will give you hints as to what combo they're asking for, what to use.
Yeah.
I actually started using guides around halfway through after finding about 30 combos, because they started getting too complicated, and I was like, you know what, I just want to get more tickets so I can finish this thing. So I cheated. But
Oh, I did too. The combo names are really bizarre.
yeah.
In some cases.
I don't know. It's very strange, and I don't want to just keep harping on this. I think we should try and move on. Maybe discuss that human resource machine clip that Lewis made me watch.
He made me watch it too.
I thought we'd wait a little bit closer to the end for that one.
Okay,
but,
so what else would you like to talk about, Lewis? Because I'm kind of out of stuff for current.
Okay. Well, we can move on to the human resource thing real quick because it brings up an interesting discussion about Little Inferno as well. The company that made this game, Tomorrow Corperation, it was a team that was formed from a lot of the members that created World of Goo, which is why a lot of people say that Little Inferno was made by the same people as World of Goo, even though it's not quite technically true. It's a different team. But after Little Inferno, they created a game called Human Resource Machine. And the idea of that one is it's like a sort of programming thing. They give you a very simplified assembly language, a rather kind of even touch-friendly interface, actually, to create the scripts. And, you just try to create this little program that the little guy you control follows and to do all the stuff. And I want to talk about it because the story is an interesting contrast to this one, to Little Inferno. So in Little Inferno, you have an interesting build-up. You have, Sugar Plumps and Miss Nancy and the Weatherman who kind of build up this sort of world and create this... what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of the suspense, in a sense. It built up this mystery. And then at the end, it kind of comes to a crescendo. It really does explain everything that's going on in the story. Human Resource Machine sort of is weird because it does a lot of that. It has these cutscenes. It starts building up this mystery, this intrigue. And then that last cutscene, it just doesn't work. Like, Little Inferno, it spends 15-20 minutes wrapping up every single plot thread in the game. And in Human Resource Machine, it's like, hey, you got to the end, congratulations, goodbye.
But it doesn't really have the same type of narrative. I mean, I'm 2/3 of the way through the game, but it doesn't have the narrative that Little Inferno did, other than
It really did, at least to me, with all those cutscenes, because it creates that kind of intrigue. Because real quick, the basic kind of outline of what's going on in Human Resource Machine is that you get these little clips from inside the break room, where all the people who sort of grade your work are having coffee, and when they leave, there's a little news report that comes up, and it's basically saying machines are surrounding the city. They're, they're coming to attack. They're like, it starts building it up. It's like, okay, they're gonna do something really interesting with that, and then they just flat out don't do anything with it.
Interesting. I don't know.
But at the end, they have you basically replaced by a machine, and then when you leave the corporation, the machines are out there stomping on people.
Do you think these games take place? Well, obviously, they must take place in at least the same world. Which one do you think came first?
They may not have been exactly the same world, but they could exist in the same world.
It's very similar art styles, and they both have the Tomorrow Corperation all over them.
Yeah,
well,
the big
they're
right
both
eye.
made by Tomorrow Corporation, and made,
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I think it feels like they're trying to build a universe with them. I don't know. It's really hard for me to continue talking about at least Little Inferno, because I feel like I've kind of hit on everything that I had thought about. Aside from, like, the one character I think we haven't really talked about very much is the Weatherman. Like, we just kind of touched on him briefly, but then we just kind of skipped over him after that. And he's like this kind of almost like this otherworldly person at times. He's just like, hi, I'm the Weatherman. It's still snowing. I can't see very well because it's very smoky. Oh, it's getting even smokier. Oh, there's even more smoke. And it's snowing harder. It's getting cold up here. And when I was talking about atmosphere earlier, I feel like the Weatherman built a lot of that atmosphere because he was kind of like your, hey, here's what's going on outside character.
Yeah. I mean, he really is your only link to what's going on outside.
Because you don't even have a window or anything, and you never turn around from the fireplace.
Yeah.
And that was just, I don't know, that was just really interesting to me.
And he kind of ties the whole story together because you end up leaving with the Weatherman. But
do you?
Again, his sort of level of not caring and just saying, well, you can join me in my weather balloon or you can jump off this cliff and die horribly. Your choice.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a very odd game. And stuff like that I have a really hard time talking about. Like, I find it harder to talk about this game than I did talking about 30 Flights of Loving, which was really weird. So man.
Well, maybe Human Resource Machine was the scarier things that are out there than the fire, or the more dangerous things. Those.
Ow.
that game is terrifying. I took one look at it and was like, I'm gonna go that way. It's really complicated puzzle games. No, thank you. Yet I finished The Witness, so I'm not one to talk, I guess. But yeah, no, I mean, Little Inferno is a very relaxing, very strange little game, which is very weird. And like, I put out my thoughts about what I think this game is, which is more or less video games are dangerous. What do you guys think they're trying to say with this story? Lewis, what do you think he's trying to say here?
It's interesting. I'm not sure exactly what it is, because I think they try to tell a couple of different things. It definitely sort of makes fun of kind of mobile gaming on a whole. It takes this sort of idea of, you have to wait to do all this stuff. You have to, sacrifice your time to do this. And overall, a lot of the ending, like the big thing that keeps kind of being repeated is you can't stay in one place for too long. You can't get so absorbed in the game that you don't do anything else. And there definitely does seem to be kind of a warning like that. Like, don't, you know, don't let this consume you.
Well, I think at the same time, though, you could play the game forever, burning things up and not thinking too deeply about it until and avoid the final error code combo, which means your house never burns up, and you just stay safe in your own little narrow world. So the question is the main character better off having burned up his house and going off with the weatherman or not? Yeah. And we don't know.
No, we don't.
I kind of leave that up to interpretation. It is true that you don't really follow what happens, because, after you meet Miss Nancy, you leave Tomorrow Corporation, you go off towards the cliff, you meet the weatherman, and the weatherman offers to take you away somewhere. Doesn't really say where, and basically as soon as you hop on, the game ends.
Yeah. I was kind of expecting it to go on after that, or like there'd be something at the end of the credits, but it just kind of goes back to the fireplace.
Yeah, like a big happy reunion with sugar plums on the beach somewhere.
Well, I didn't.
You have to wonder how she got there.
I just wanted to see more about the world, more than anything. And it also makes me wonder, is sugar plums even real?
And I never really got that impression that she might not be.
Oh, yeah, I didn't either. Because she bangs on the wall. And when you walk out after your house is burnt up, the house next door is burnt up.
That is true.
It is. So.
Yeah. And when you give her the bug exterminator, your house actually does shake.
Well, it's because initially when I was playing the game, when I was getting messages from Nancy, I'm thinking, oh, this person's going to vanish. Or this character's going to turn on me or something. This is weird. Especially when, like, the curtains came down. Like, how would this character get the curtains into my chimney without leaving her house? I don't know.
Mailman?
Yeah.
Very friendly mailman.
Problem solved right there. I don't know. Like that was just, I don't know. I'm probably just pulling strings at that point, but the concept of it's a warning of time moving is interesting. I like that a lot. Foxtex, what do you think this game's trying to say? Or are we all just kind of like on the same page?
Well, I think it is, you talk about the danger of video games, and what this video game, in some sense, promotes is moderation. You can't do this forever, you can't stay, you can't play this video game forever, and, you shouldn't be playing video games forever. You need to do other things, too, and get out there and explore your adventures, whether it's scary out there, or snowing, or on a beach.
Yeah. No, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's. I think we've kind of like more or less hit a wall here. I think we've run out of stuff to talk about. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed Little Inferno. I think it was. I'm kind of happy that Lewis made me play it. It's a very interesting little thing.
Yeah, it has a great soundtrack.
Yeah, it's interesting, and it's worth asking this real quick. It seems like when it comes to reception of the game, a lot of people were split on whether the mechanics, the actual idea of buying things to burn it, was either, interesting and worked, or not, complex enough and it was boring. Like, what do you think?
Well, I think I said this during us talking before the show started, but I actually minimized the game multiple times and tapped out and had YouTube videos running on my second monitor because I got straight up bored a couple times.
Well, but that follows with the theme of this video that you shouldn't do anything for too long. And in some sense, maybe it's forcing you to stop or do something else or multitask at the same time as things burn.
Yeah.
I think it's also because it was designed for phones. Like, there's just a little bit of that in there. I don't know.
Maybe.
It's
I found it interesting enough. Like, it held my attention until, the ending came.
Oh yeah, no, it definitely it had like the game plays really nicely. It has this great little feel to it. So, I mean that's
I think
not an issue.
if you take the easiness of buying things and burning them up is not a complex issue, but when you add in the combos, the complexity comes back into the game too. If you want to do it 100% and get all the combos, the game becomes more complex trying to figure out the combos until you Wikipedia.
Yeah. I mean, there's a couple of kind of inside references. Like, there's one combo which is World of Goo, which you will not get unless you've played World of Goo.
Yeah, no, I cheated that one.
Yeah. I think
too.
we all did.
And I've played World of Goo.
Yeah.
So, like, let's just be straight with that. Like, I've played World of Goo and I didn't figure that one out.
And I would like to mention real quick, because there's actually two things that I should mention. First off, real quick, because I realized we never covered it when talking about the ending. When you finally get to Miss Nancy, you have this conversation tree. So if you're hitting all the first options for a while, she says something like, "Oh, it looks like you could really use a hug. Do you remember we used to give out these hug coupons? Do you still have it?"
Burns it.
The first time playing, if the first time you play it, you're not going to keep that because you're given so much junk. You literally can't keep everything. So you toss everything you get into the fire. And so you're not going to have that hug coupon. And so it really sort of creates this sense of, like, I was just playing the game, and now it's kind of slapped my wrist for playing the game. And so if you try to replay it, and you actually keep the hug coupon, you do actually get a hug. I mean, the animation for it's kind of creepy. The animation's kind of creepy, but I think that's also because they don't necessarily expect a ton of people to go through that route.
Yeah, it limits your space on your bot floor, and so you want to buy something else. And that's another thing about the combos is you can try and be creative and do multiple combos at once by using combos that have the same ingredients and mixing them, and then all sorts of things. Tickets rain down, and all sorts of noise goes off, which makes it fun.
Yeah,
I kind of wish that they would super meta, and if you went and made a new playthrough, you didn't get the coupon again.
Yeah, that would be really meta, but I can see why they didn't want to do that.
I would have
done But the other thing that's worth mentioning is if you get all the combos, so there are 99 combos, and if you achieve all 99 combos, you get a letter from Miss Nancy. It's like, "Congratulations, here's your gift," and she gives you a mouse pad that says Tomorrow Corperation on it. Like, that's what you get for 100% completion.
I was thinking about 100%ing this game. I don't think I'm going to anymore.
Yeah.
Well, it's something more to burn.
Yeah. I mean, if you just like burning stuff, there's no problem burning.
They should give you a literal coupon to go buy that. Like, a 2% discount. I might actually buy that mouse pad if they did that. But no, that's cool. I was wondering what that would... What the reward for getting 100% on it would be. That's neat.
Yeah. But it kind of plays into that narrative of, like, you shouldn't be wasting your time on this. Because it's intentionally underwhelming.
I think there's a number of things in this game that are intentionally underwhelming. And then some things that are surprisingly deep. And almost ominous. And they make you uneasy. It's like, that was weird. I just did that. What?
Well, and some of the things are more than you'd expect when you burn the things that things pop out of, and like when you burn the briefcase near the end, and all those papers come out that you can still burn. It's more than just a little briefcase.
It's not even just bringing out all the pyromaniac in all of us. It's like, it's when you're reading the letter and it's like bang, 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 bang on your wall. It's like, by the way, I'm your neighbor. It's like, what? No,
I'm not sure I like this.
Like, this is weird. How are you, what? Hi. Hello. Sugar plums. Are you going to kill me now? Because, like, that's what I was expecting that entire game. I was just expecting somebody to just come up behind you and stab you. I don't know why. Like, it made me uneasy,
I wonder-
especially towards the end when she was talking about leaving. Sorry, and like she's telling you to leave and burn your house down. I'm like, what? So
Yeah, she comes off as a stalker at times, and not the best influence in the world.
I was wondering if that feeling of like she was gonna come out behind you and stab you, sort of thing, was heightened when, like, shortly before she burns her house down, she goes, "Turn around! Can you turn around? I can only stare into the fire."
I can only stare into the fire for so long.
Yeah.
It's almost like hypnotic smoke coming out of there or something.
Yeah. It's odd. It's odd. Yeah. I think I've run out of things to say, and we're getting close to the end time anyway. So does anybody have any closing thoughts?
Let's start with you, Foxtex. What are your closing thoughts on this?
Oh, I'm waiting for Little Inferno 2. Which would just be a rehash of Little Inferno, so don't bother. Even with the pink edition that Sugar Plums wanted.
The pink bricks.
The pink bricks, yes. No, I'm usually not a pink person despite my shirt today. But it's fun to burn things. It's
fun
that's
to
what
burn
makes
things,
Little Inferno.
especially when it teaches you something.
Exactly.
I learned I could burn ants with my glasses when I was like 6, so that didn't.
Oh, potential serial killer.
Yeah.
Hey, so Lewis, do you have any final thoughts?
This is a really interesting game. As I mentioned before, I got this in a Humble Bundle, and when I bought the Humble Bundle, I was like, okay, I really want to play. I think it was Thomas Was Alone, and I was looking at the games that I ended up getting in that bundle, and I was like, this Little Inferno looks interesting, and I played it, and I was really blown away. It's like, sometimes when I buy a bundle, I buy it for one game and fall in love with another, and that was what happened with this one. I really liked Little Inferno. It was, the fireplace is addicting itself, and then you add on that really intriguing story on top of it, and it just works.
Yeah, it does.
So, what about you, Blind? What are your final thoughts on it?
My final thoughts are it's a little bit idle-esque game at times with a really, really cool atmosphere. And a rather shocking ending, which we've now completely spoiled, so...
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
That's the whole show, so...
Yeah.
I highly recommend people take the time out of your day and go grab Little Inferno. Hell, I've seen it on sale for $1 a couple times. Just go grab it. It's a fun little thing to mess with. I think it's $10 normally. If you're scared, wait for a sale or see if you can catch it on Humble. I've seen it in several bundles now, so it's an interesting
It's a lot of fun.
It's an interesting one. I think this has been a good episode. So, does anybody have anything they want to talk about, like where you can be found on the internet? Lewis, do you have anything you want to plug?
Sure, I'll go ahead and plug my Twitch, twitch.tv/LRFLEW, LRFLEW. I am working on routing Midnight Club 2 for a speedrun. I might actually live stream again soon if my computer doesn't completely fall apart.
That's not good.
But yeah, my computer is having issues. Like, I was getting weird stuttering issues in Little Inferno on this computer. And that thing can run on an iPad, so something is wrong.
To be fair, iPads are pretty powerful these days. Yeah, and
True.
My name's Greg, and this is my channel. I stream a lot of management games here, and apparently Doom, so deal with it. To those of you who didn't like me streaming Doom, deal with it.
Which Doom?
The new one. Not the movie, unfortunately. Should just stream the movie. And if you're watching live right now, thank you very much for tuning in. And if you're listening to the audio version of this, I have no idea how you found it, but thank you very much for making it to the end. And if you're watching on YouTube, once again, thank you very much for watching. And yeah, I think it's time to say goodbye. Thank you very much for watching the StoryMode podcast, everybody. And we'll catch you in around a month when we do another one of these. on episode 6. I don't know what we'll be playing. We'll figure that out.
7?
7? 6, 7?
Isn't this one 6?
I don't know. I don't know.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Check.
This is episode 6. Derp. Okay, episode 7. You guys have a good night, everybody. And
All right.
we'll see you later.
See ya.
See ya.